What is up, flavor fanatics? It's Bobby, and today I have 5 epic meal prepping recipes that'll help you rock the Whole30 elimination diet. And hey, that can be tough. You're talking about getting rid of dairy and beans and cheese and grains and all the things your body craves. But these recipes are so delicious, so easy to make, and so comforting, you'll breeze through those 30 days like a boss. So before we get started, hook a brother up and click that little subscribe button. I'm rocking out new videos every Friday on my channel, and I want you to be a part of the Flav City community. So number 1, you may think when you're rocking the Whole30 that you can't eat pasta and meatballs. Well, think again, my friends, because I have a zucchini noodle marinara with tons of veggies and beefy lean meatballs that is so tasty and so comforting, and this is how you make it. Start off with 1 pound of ground beef and ½ pound of ground pork in a large bowl, and then add 1½ teaspoons each of garlic and onion powder. Shake in ½ teaspoon of dried thyme and ½ teaspoon of dried oregano and ¼ teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Crack 1 egg into the bowl and then shake in a couple tablespoons of fresh parsley. Pinch in 1 teaspoon of salt, a few cracks of black pepper, and then mix up everything really well. To form the meatballs, I like to dip my hands in some water and then roll the meatballs. That way none of the meat sticks to your hands. This recipe makes about 15 big meatballs. Pop them in a 350-degree oven for 18 minutes. Once the meatballs are ready, check out how plump and juicy they are. Get them off the sheet tray and you're done. For the zucchini noodles, add a shot of olive oil to a pan and then go in with some broccoli, orange peppers, and yellow onions, a ½ teaspoon of salt, and a few cracks of black pepper. Cook that for a few minutes, then go in with ½ teaspoon of dried thyme, and then finely chop 3 cloves of garlic. Add the garlic to the pan and cook it just a few more minutes. Use a spiralizer to break down 3 large zucchini into a big pile of spaghetti. Add some salt to a pot of boiling water, and then cook the zucchini noodles for just 45 seconds, then drain them and put them in an ice bath to stop the cooking. Add some marinara sauce to the noodles, making sure it's Whole30, and then add all the cooked veggies, along with a tablespoon of fresh parsley, the zest of ½ a lemon, and then mix up everything until it's well combined. Grab a healthy portion of zucchini noodles and place it in a glass meal prepping container, and then go in with 3 meatballs. And there it is, Whole30 clean eating spaghetti and meatballs with lots of veggies. Now, it might be tough to have dinner at the steakhouse when you're on the Whole30 diet. I mean, those big bowl of creamy mashed potatoes and cream spinach is completely off limits when you're on Whole30. But for number 2, I'm bringing the steakhouse to my kitchen and I'm doing it veggie style. And you're gonna love this spice-crusted cauliflower steak with roasted parsnip fries and roasted beet salad. So darn good. Start off by slicing some center-cut cauliflower steaks, so there's a good amount of surface area, just like that. For the spice rub, start off with some ancho chili powder, then grab some smoked paprika and cumin, and add ½ teaspoon of dried thyme. Give that a good mix up, and then season the cauliflower steaks with a shot of olive oil, a healthy pinch of salt, and then sprinkle over half of the spice rub. Make sure you season on both sides, and then pop them in a 450-degree oven for 15 minutes. Take the cauliflower out of the oven, add some oil to a preheating cast iron pan, grab a couple cauliflower steaks and add them to the pan. Let them cook for about 3 minutes over high heat until they're nice and crusty and look like that. Perfect, let them go another 3 minutes. Take them out of the pan and they're done. Add 2 pounds of beets to a sheet tray and season them with a shot of olive oil, a pinch of salt, a few cracks of black pepper, and then splash in a tablespoon of water. Use some tin foil to seal them all up, and then bake them for 1 hour. When they're ready, use a paper towel to peel away the outer skin. Slice them up into large bite-sized pieces and add them to a bowl. Go in with 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, the zest of 1 lemon, and the juice of 1 lemon. Shake in a couple tablespoons of toasted and chopped walnuts, some fresh parsley, a pinch of salt, a few cracks of black pepper, and then give it a good mix. And the salad's done. And last up, the roasted parsnip fries. Peel a few parsnips and chop them into ½ thick fries. Season them with a couple shots of extra virgin olive oil, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, a couple cracks of fresh pepper, and 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. Toss the parsnips on a sheet tray and bake them in a 425-degree oven for about 30 to 45 minutes until they're golden brown. For number 3, I'm embracing some Mediterranean flavors with an oven-roasted Greek chicken breast and roasted spaghetti squash primavera. So darn tasty, and this is how you do it. Start off by tapping a knife through the spaghetti squash. That's the safest way I know to cut it. Then scoop out all the seeds. Place the squash on a sheet tray and then season it with a shot of olive oil, a pinch of salt, and a few cracks of black pepper. And place that in the oven for just over an hour. Next up, season some grape tomatoes with a shot of olive oil, a splash of balsamic vinegar, a pinch of salt, a few cracks of black pepper, and then spill them onto a sheet tray that's covered in tin foil and pop them in the oven for about 20 minutes. To make the veggies, drizzle a shot of olive oil into a large pan, and then go in with red peppers, fennel, and red onion. Season that with a pinch of salt, a few cracks of black pepper, and then cook that for a few minutes. Next up, go in with a few cloves of garlic that are finely minced, and then finely slice one red chili and add that to the pan. When the spaghetti squash is ready, it'll look nice and roasted on top, and then you can put a knife in it, and if it comes in and out very easily, you know it's done. Now go ahead and rake it with a fork, and that's when it becomes spaghetti. I love this. I think it's the coolest thing ever. So go ahead and rake all of it, and then add that to the pan. And then look at those cherry tomatoes. They burst and got really sweet, so go ahead and add all of that plus the juices to the pan. Give it a good mix up, and then go in with some freshly chopped parsley, along with some lemon zest and juice. And then shake in a few tablespoons of toasted and chopped walnuts and give it one last stir. Make the marinade for the chicken by adding some olive oil to a bowl, along with half a teaspoon each of dried thyme and dried oregano. Then grate in 6 cloves of garlic, the zest of 2 lemons and the juice of 2 lemons, and give it a good whisk up. Season the chicken with a healthy pinch of salt and a few cracks of black pepper. And then dump that lemony Greek marinade all over those chicken breasts and make sure it's covering completely. Then pop them in a 375-degree oven for 45 minutes. Now look how nice and golden the skin is. And here's the beauty. When you cut it in half, look how juicy that meat is. That's only because we cooked it on the bone. Now add some of the chicken to a glass meal prepping container and a nice big scoop of spaghetti squash. And there it is, 5 epically delicious and easy meal preps for the week. We gotta get some beef up in this meal prepping for Whole30. So for number 4, we're doing a spice-crusted skirt steak with a roasted Brussels sprouts and sweet potato fries. Start off with 5 skirt steaks, 8 ounces each. And for the spice rub, add some paprika to some ancho chili powder, along with coriander, cayenne, and dried thyme. Give that a good mix up, and then season the steak with a good pinch of salt and half of the spice rub on top. Flip it over and season some more. Add some grapeseed oil to a hot cast iron pan, and then go in with 3 steaks, making sure not to overcrowd the pan, and let them cook for 3 minutes without touching them. That way when you flip them over, look at the crust on that meat. That's thanks to the hot pan and the spice rub. Let them go another 2 or 3 minutes, and then get them out of the pan. Remember, skirt steak cooks really quickly, so don't overcook it. And remember, when you cut your skirt steak, cut it against the grain. That way it's way more tender when you eat it. If you cut it with the grain, it's kind of like chewing on shoe leather. Next up, grab 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts, and then cut the root end off a little bit, cut them in half, and add them to a large bowl. Season them with a couple tablespoons of olive oil, a healthy pinch of salt, and a few cracks of black pepper. Give them a really good shake up, and then grab a sheet pan from the oven that's been preheating and spill the Brussels sprouts on there. That way they start cooking immediately. I absolutely love this tip. And then cook them in the oven for about 30 minutes. Now check out those Brussels sprouts. Roasty and toasty, and those little charred ends there are my favorite. They're so crispy. Add them to a large bowl, and then shake in a 1/4 cup of chopped and toasted walnuts for crunch, 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cranberries, the zest of 1 lemon, and then give them 1 more shimmy to combine everything. These are definitely not your mama's Brussels sprouts. Last up is the oven roasted sweet potato fries. Cut 7 sweet potatoes into 1/2-inch thick wedges and toss them in a bowl. Add 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil, pinch of salt, along with a teaspoon of cumin and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And give it a good shimmy and shake. Slide the fries onto a preheated sheet tray and bake them at 450 for 20 to 35 minutes until they're nice and caramelized, and get ready for your new addiction. Add some of that skirt steak to a glass meal prep container, along with some roasty Brussels sprouts and a nice handful of sweet potato fries. And there it is, 5 beefy, comforting meal preps for the week. But let's just say you're midway into your Whole30 diet and you're craving something creamy and starchy and really guilty. Well, for number 5, I've got you covered with this epic creamy chicken and mushroom sauce with broccoli and cauliflower mash. This is like one ginormous hug and it's so darn comforting. Start off by pounding some chicken breasts thin. That'll make the chicken cook more evenly and quicker. And then make a tasty spice rub by adding 1 teaspoon of fennel powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Season the chicken with a healthy pinch of salt, and then half of the spice rub, and then make sure to massage it into the skin. Flip the chicken over and do some more salt and spice rub. Add a shot of olive oil to a preheating nonstick pan. Cook them for 5 minutes undisturbed, and then give them a flip. And then look at the crust, you guys. So beautiful and so much flavor. Let them go another 3 or 4 minutes and then get them out of the pan. Do not overcook chicken breasts. They get dry so easily. Next up, add 12 ounces of cremini mushrooms to the same exact pan. And then let them cook for about 10 minutes unsalted until they get nice and caramelized and look like that. Then you could add a pinch of salt and a few cracks of black pepper. Add half a cup of Whole30 approved chicken broth and half a cup of coconut milk. Cook that for about 10 minutes until the sauce has reduced by half, and then add all of the chicken back to the pan. That way they can finish cooking that delicious sauce and soak up all the flavors. For the cauliflower and broccoli mash, add a pinch of salt to a pot of boiling water, and then go in with 1 large head of cauliflower florets, along with 4 cloves of peeled garlic. Cook that for 10 minutes, and you know it's ready when you can easily mash the cauliflower with a fork. Drain everything pretty well, and then add it straight to a blender. Then go ahead and blend the cauliflower until it's nice and smooth and creamy. This stuff is the best replacement for mashed potatoes ever. And then take 12 ounces of broccoli florets, add them to the same water, along with another small pinch of salt. Now go ahead and drain the broccoli after a few minutes, and then run it under cold water to stop the cooking process. Make sure you thoroughly strain it, and then roughly chop it. Add that to the creamy cauliflower mash, and you have some nice chunky texture in there, and it's chock full of veggies. Add some of that yummy mash to a glass meal prep container, along with 1 of the chicken breasts, some of that creamy sauce, and some mushrooms. And there it is, 5 hearty, clean, delicious meals for the week. All right, you guys, so there it is, 5 delicious Whole30 approved recipes to make it through the 30-day elimination diet. All of the recipes, storage, reheating, and the macros are down below in the description box. Make sure you share this video and do me a favor, subscribe to my channel if you want to see 2 more Whole30 recipes and just clean eating food that tastes darn good. Check out the recipes below me right now, but I'll see you next Friday like I always do. Until then, # keep on cooking, mad love.